Hello, darlings, and welcome back to my channel. It is about that time again for another episode of Scent Talk, where I discuss my weekly fragrances, how they performed, and overall if I'm going to keep them in my collection. So without further ado, let's get into Season 2, Episode 5 of Scent Talk. But before we get started, if you have not already subscribed, be sure to click down below and hit that subscribe button, as well as clicking the notification bell so you'll be notified of every time that I upload. So, since we have gotten that out the way, let's move right into these fragrances, honey. So, this particular episode is dedicated to the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and it is basically on the fragrance of Baccarat Rouge 540. Now, this is my honest and humble opinion of this fragrance, and I do have it in the sample. So this sample I did actually pick up off of Mercari. That is where I purchased this sample. So if you're interested in trying to find a sample of Baccarat Rouge 540, you can find it on Mercari. I will leave Mercari link down below, as well as if you want to follow my store, because that's why I actually do sell my fragrances, and sometimes I purchase on there as well. So I highly recommend that site. I love it. I love to shop on that site, and that's where all the mavens are, honey. I see all y'all up in there, and now I'm gonna be careful. I'm gonna be careful on what I am letting you guys know when I'm a purchase, because it was a couple of them, honey. It was sold, and I was like, I wonder if it was one of those mavens that bought this perfume. So I'm gonna kind of be a little discreet on what I'm trying to buy, but for the most part, I have definitely gotten all the fragrances that I wanted off that site. This whole Scent Talk episode is dedicated to Baccarat Rouge, and I actually have 3 perfumes that are considered dupes for Baccarat Rouge, so we're going to definitely go over those. We're going to start with the actual sample of Baccarat Rouge, and this is an eau de parfum, and this is also considered as a unisex fragrance. I literally only sprayed one just so I could see how well this would do, and this literally lasted the whole day on my skin. One spray on my skin, I was able to smell this for 12 hours. So this is a banger with performance. Just a little bit actually got on the rim of my shirt, and it's still on the rim of my shirt. So I actually did wear this one to work, and I did receive a compliment on this fragrance. This Baccarat Rouge is labeled as an oriental floral. What I really get from this is very, very woody. It is a fresh, woody scent. Slightly powdery, but more heavier on the woods. It is sweet. It does have a note of saffron, and saffron is a flower that comes from the iris family. It's really sweet, almost a little spicy. I was able to smell that floralness through the whole wear of this perfume, and as well as the woods. Like when I first sprayed this, it smelled like a sweet floral wood. Very, very prominent, very strong, and it lasted all day. And it's almost kind of strange how this wore on my skin. So I went through several phases of what I smelled. In the beginning, it was sweet and floral. It's not like a feminine floral, but it's so nice, and it definitely smells woody. It's so strange because the woods turn so fresh in this, and I would definitely say that this is a unisex fragrance. So I actually sprayed and tested it, and I wore it for myself. I sprayed it on a car for my husband. He loved it. He could not believe how good this smelled, and I would totally agree. This is fire. This can swing either way, male, female, it doesn't matter. Even though you have those woodier notes to me does kind of turn masculine. The woods turned so fresh, and it reminded me of like a real live pine tree, but it was so fresh and so alluring. This is a banger. So overall, I would consider this as a woody, fresh floral, sweet floral. It's how I would classify this, and this definitely lasts for a long time. So I would give this 12 plus hours on the skin, on the clothes, days, okay? So 12 plus hours on my skin. I absolutely adore this. So that is my overall thoughts and impressions from wearing this, is that this is fire, and it lasts for a very good time on my skin. So these other 3 perfumes are considered as dupes to this Baccarat Rouge 540, and 2 of them I do have in my collection, and 1 of them I just have a deluxe size sample. So I've actually worn each one of these fragrances, and I'm going to give my opinion on not only how they lasted, but how they compare to Baccarat Rouge, if it is a dead-on dupe for Baccarat Rouge, or if it's not, honey. You're going to get my honest, humble opinion on these fragrances. So let's move right into this first one. So this Ariana Grande's Cloud is highly compared to Baccarat Rouge, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a spray so I can get these juices kicked up. Just about 3 sprays. This Ariana Grande's Cloud is labeled as a floral fruity gourmand, so it's not in the same classification as Baccarat Rouge. What I would say is this is like a sweet coconut bergamot type of scent. This dries down really musky. It does have some similarities. Now, as far as the similarities is what I mean, it's like it's a little woody, but this is more sweet coconut and musk. But it does have a note of lavender, and to my nose and my palate, lavender does kind of dry a little masculine. So that is where I do see the resemblance. You do have those heavy woody notes in Baccarat Rouge, and you do have that sweetness. But in my honest, humble opinion, you get a lot of lavender out of this Ariana Grande's Cloud. So would I say it's a dupe? No, but there are some similarities. So I would not classify this as a dupe. This is still a very, very nice scent with slight characteristics. The sweetness in the coconut goes in a whole different direction. So this is still a very nice, mature smelling celebrity perfume, but no, ma'am, this is not a dupe. That's just my opinion. I think this is a nice fragrance, and I do see why it is compared with a certain level of woody, but this dries down totally different. So when you first spray it, I don't even get the same type of scent. I do have another one that is a lot closer to Baccarat Rouge than this Ariana Grande's Cloud. But this Ariana Grande is still a nice celebrity fragrance with a little bit of a masculine tone from that lavender, but it's just definitely still sweet, and it dries down musky. So that is my thoughts on the Ariana Grande's Cloud compared to Baccarat Rouge 540. So let's move right on to the next scent. Moving right along to the next perfume that is considered as comparable, and that is my Burberry Her. Now, you guys, I do apologize that I forgot to put this one into my perfume collection. By the way, honey, that was a lot of work doing my perfume collection. So I do hope you guys enjoyed that, because that was a lot of work, honey. That is why we actually had to skip a week of Scent Talk, because I had to focus on getting that edited and getting it uploaded for you guys. So this next one that is compared to Baccarat Rouge is this Burberry Her from the House of Burberry. Now, this Burberry Her is a floral fruity gourmand, same as the Ariana Grande's Cloud. So it's not in the same classification, because Baccarat Rouge is an oriental floral. It has prominent notes of fruit, strawberry, raspberry, blackberry. It has notes of cherry. Like, this is a fruity scent, but it's definitely not in mature fruit. This is a beautiful mature fruity perfume. So when it comes down to this Burberry Her, I would say Burberry Her is definitely more closer of a resemblance to Baccarat Rouge than the Ariana Grande's Cloud. Now, even though it is a different classification of a fragrance, this one is more fruitier. This dries down really sweet. This one is very close, especially when you first spray this. You almost can't tell the difference between this and Baccarat Rouge when you first spray it. This one leans more on the feminine side than Baccarat Rouge. So I would say this would be the female version of Baccarat Rouge. So this one is definitely more comparable to Baccarat Rouge 540. I did actually wear this to work, and I did receive a compliment. Now, as far as at home, when I sprayed this, my husband could not tell the difference at all. And he said, "You sprayed that Baccarat." I said, "No, I sprayed this Burberry Her." So this is very, very close when you first spray it. Now, what it dries down to, this is not woody at all. This is more fruity and more musky. It has a little bit of patchouli, but it definitely dries down a little bit more sweet fruit. So this one is very comparable, but definitely not a dupe for this fragrance. Now, before I actually proceed on further, what I mean by dupe is when I think about a dupe, I think about almost the same exact scent. You really can't even distinguish the two unless it sits on your skin for a long time. So when I consider this Burberry Her as a dupe, I would have to say no, but it's very similar in the beginning. So I would honestly say, for the price point of Baccarat Rouge, this Burberry Her is a really, really good comparable fragrance. It's in the same vein, but it dries down very different. I keep going back to Baccarat Rouge being very woody. Baccarat Rouge does not dry down sweet. It dries down woody. It dries down woody and skin-like, but it's still a nice floral scent. You definitely get those woods, but when it comes down to this Burberry Her, you get more fruit. You get the fruit, musk, patchouli, and stuff like that, but it dries down a little bit more sweet. This one does not dry down woody at all. This one dries down more of a sweet fruit musk. Baccarat Rouge dried down as a fresh wood. And that is my thought on the Burberry Her. But Burberry Her does last on my skin about 8 hours, so it does have some good longevity. And also this projects. You can definitely smell this. Now comparing it to Baccarat Rouge really projects, okay? This is not a dupe, but it's a very comparable scent, but not a dupe, okay? So again, this one is Burberry Her from the House of Burberry. Okay, so this last one that I'm going to actually compare is this Bond No. 9's Greenwich Village. I did share this on my Instagram, so if you're not following me on Instagram, be sure to follow me on Instagram because I am featuring a lot of these perfumes that I'm talking about here on YouTube. Now, this Greenwich Village, this is an Oriental Floral. So this is in the same classification as Baccarat Rouge. So that is number one, is a good way to compare. They're both Oriental Florals. You can definitely smell the florals in this. Now, this is labeled as unisex as well. So Baccarat Rouge and Greenwich Village are both Oriental Florals, and they're also both classified as unisex. And I would totally have to agree, this Greenwich Village is definitely unisex. Now, you can definitely pick up the florals in Greenwich Village. You have peony, you have water lily. So this one kind of takes on almost like an aquatic tone to it. It's still very fresh, but it takes on a little bit of aquaticness. So that peony, water lily, and jasmine is definitely prominent in this fragrance, but by no means does that turn it to where it's just totally feminine, because it's not. But even though it has those florals, it also has vanilla and praline, which kind of makes it a little bit sweet, and you can definitely smell the sweetness coming through the florals. So I would say this Greenwich Village is a little bit closer in comparison to the Ariana Grande's Cloud and also to Burberry Her. So I would say this is closer. So when you actually wear this Greenwich Village, there are some similarities when you first spray it, but this dries down fresher than Baccarat Rouge. So in my opinion, is this a dupe? No, it's not a dupe. It's not exactly like Baccarat Rouge, but definitely the most comparable. In my opinion, still not the same scent. This one dries down a lot fresher. So in summary, these fragrances, you guys, there are a lot of similarities when it comes down to the scent, but these are definitely not dupes, in my opinion, to Baccarat Rouge 540. This Ariana Grande's Cloud, a very nice celebrity scent, but leans more on the coconut, the sweetness, and musk. This Burberry Her, in my opinion, this is all about the fruits, but it does still have that sweet woody tone to it, but definitely does not dry down to a woody tone. There are some similarities when it comes down to the scent, but definitely not a dupe. And last is Greenwich Village. Definitely same type of composition, but dries down differently. So I would say this is the closest one in comparison to Baccarat Rouge 540, but this dries down fresher. This is more of an aquatic scent. So that is my summary of Baccarat Rouge 540, Ariana Grande's Cloud, Burberry Her, and last but not least, Greenwich Village from Bond No. 9. Each one of these fragrances have their own identity where they all dry down very different. So in my opinion, would I actually have all four of these in my collection? Absolutely. Number one, the Baccarat Rouge is something that me and my husband both want. So I'm definitely going to pick up a full-size bottle of Baccarat Rouge. And also Greenwich Village. I really, really like Greenwich Village. My husband likes it, and it's definitely different. And I would say that Greenwich Village can be worn by either male or female, so it is a unisex fragrance. Greenwich Village is very nice from Bond No. 9, and it definitely has some lasting power to it. You have those florals, and you also have the aquatic notes of Greenwich Village that makes it different than Baccarat Rouge. So I would love to add Greenwich Village, which I'm going to add that one too, but not right now, honey, because I've been spending some coins on perfume, so I'm going to have to wait maybe a month or two. As I'm adding more fragrances to my collection, I'm definitely going to be getting rid of a few, which we're going to have a declutter here coming soon. Now that you've seen my whole collection, I have about 10 of them right now on my list that I'm actually going to put into a declutter sale. So this does sum up my impression of Baccarat Rouge as well as my impression of Greenwich Village. Now the other two I already have in my collection, so I kind of already knew, about those fragrances. So that is my thoughts on these 4 perfumes. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Scent Talk. And also, if you have any of these fragrances, comment down below and let me know your thoughts, because I'm very interested to know how you guys feel on these fragrances. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you in my next video.